Welcome to the July meeting of the York County Board of Zoning Appeals. The order of business, the first item on the agenda will be to have the adoption of the minutes from last meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review them, and does anyone have any comments?
I move to approve the minutes from May's meeting.
Do I have a second? All in favor, raise your right hand. Okay. Minutes are approved. Okay, we don't have any old business, so we'll move on to new business, which is, as I see, one case. Staff would like to come up to give their presentation. The way this will work, staff will give their presentation. Applicant will have a chance to give their presentation, then we'll open it to the public. Does not seem.
All right, Marion Reyes, zoning planner for York County. The case tonight is case number Z22-11. This is going to be a familiar project. Y'all have seen this one before. This is Darby Rental for Oak Ridge Meadows. The parcels here are on the corner of Oak Ridge Meadows Court and Corwin Drive, just east of Eastview Road and north of McConnell's Highway. It's zoned RMX 10, and they're requesting a variance to reduce the required 50-foot buffer yard for the subdivision down to 0 feet. This is the property here. It's 3 parcels with 8 homes on it. They have received a road frontage variance from this board last year. It has been rezoned to RMX 10. And they have received a waiver for open space and have received conditional approval from the Planning Commission for the preliminary plat pending the approval of this variance for the open space. So this is the very last step, hopefully, to having this project completed. This is the preliminary plat that they have submitted. You can tell each little house there has its own lot. Very unusual thing. This was built before zoning. So it's 8 homes on 3 parcels, built before zoning. It's been non-conforming since zoning began. But we are cleaning it up. We're going to be able to have each individual home on the individual lot, have individual homeowners. Affordable housing is a benefit for this community. All right, to give you an idea of what a 50-foot buffer would look like, and the surveyor will have my head if he ever sees this. It is not to scale, but it gives you an idea of what the 50-foot buffer requirement would look like on this. As you can tell, they can't meet it at all. Most of the buildings, 4 homes are within the buffer, 4 are just outside of it. It would be fairly tough to make this work no matter what. It won't work. So they are requesting the variance to 0 feet in order for this project to move forward. Go through the criteria here. Extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to a particular piece of property. It's an existing non-conforming property. The homes and their locations within the parcel boundaries encroach on the required 50-foot buffer, and the variance request is to move along the creating of a separate lot for each individual home and eliminating the nonconformities. So staff finds this finding meets this criteria. Conditions do not generally apply to other property in the vicinity. Unlike this site, the surrounding properties appear to be conforming and consistent in their use and zoning designations. There's a mixture around there. There's commercial, smaller density and higher density. Immediate area appears to be completely conforming. Because of these conditions, the application of this chapter to the particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict the utilization of this property. So the project is current location of 8 homes on the 3 parcels, and while it is grandfathered, they are non-conforming, meaning additional accessory structures are not allowed. So dividing the land would allow a conforming use and allow individual property owners to use their property. So we find it meets this criteria. The authorization of a variance will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent property or to the public good and the character of the district will not be harmed by the granting of this variance. The variance will not be a substantial detriment to the adjacent properties. These are already existing conditions. These homes are here. They have been here. They predate the other homes in the area. So there's no harm done to the character of the district by granting the variance to 0 feet. So staff finds the proposed variance meets this criteria. So since we could meet all 4 findings, staff recommends approval of the requested variance. Now we'll go back to this. We have any questions for staff? Yes, sir. Oh, you have to turn it on.
Okay,
There
there
we
you go. What is the, where it says public feedback? What does that mean exactly? At the time of the report, staff has received 1 email about the variance request with concerns that these homes have already been sold individually as per request for tenants to vacate and posted sold signs. What does that mean exactly?
It was a neighboring property owner who had questions, was wondering what was going on. They assumed they were already individual lots because the houses were being sold. So they've all been rental to this point. So they were having to have the renters vacate the property to sell the homes, and she had thought that had already been done.
Okay.
So the applicant's application mentions the 25-foot buffer requirement. But the
Previous-
county's review says 50 feet. So explain the difference.
The zoning code we adopted on March 1st changed the buffer requirements. So this project we've had in the works for 9 months now, I think. So the code has changed in that time. It used to be a 25-foot buffer, and it wouldn't have been all the way around the project. It would have been to the rear against the adjoining properties. But new code says 50 feet for a project of this density. And they would have needed a variance for the 25-foot buffer.
So did the county consider a reduced buffer, or you just recommend going straight to 0?
You can recommend a reduced buffer if you like.
So, not up to speed on the new ordinance. What's the property zone behind is RSF 30. What exactly?
What is RSF 30? It's the old RC2. RSF 30 now means residential single family 30,000 square feet, basically. That's the minimum lot size. So RSF 30 would be a minimum lot size of basically 3/4 of an acre. And then the RMX 10 is residential mix 10. That would be the old RD2, making it a much denser residential zoning, which would require buffering from the less dense residential zoning. That's a lot of acronyms.
I guess where I'm going with that is there any reason that a buffer would be advantageous between these two, even if it's reduced?
I would say in normal circumstances, yes, but this is an existing project. Adding a buffer in this case, and there is tree safe area. Let me go back over to the preliminary plat. It's a little bit hard to see, and they took away the laser pointer on my thing here. But the top left, the hashing there, is tree save area. And then the middle center there is also tree save area. So there are existing trees on this property, and there would be some gaps in the existing trees. Oop, I'm going the wrong way. It's a little bit hard to see. Maybe we can see it in that one. Yeah. So you can tell there are quite a few older trees on the property. So there would be some gaps where they would have to fill it if a buffer was required or a reduced buffer, but there are quite a few trees in the area.
So just to reiterate, we would be reducing the buffer to 0.
Correct, yes,
Okay,
ma'am. Which is what it basically exists now.
okay.
Okay.
All right.
With the,
evening, guys. Timothy Garland, Keller Williams, representative for Darby Capital, and my office is 361 Charlotte Avenue in Rock Hill. So obviously we're here for zero buffer on this property, which is extremely non-conforming, as it's been forever. And we're trying to make it nice, that way they could all be sold off separately. Individual lots, people need homes in this area, there's nothing affordable in the area, and this is a total mess right now. So we can end this 9-month trial, let's go hang this property and let's get it done. And that zero buffer, that's what we need, because none of the other properties around there would like a buffer. And one thing we know with people, when there is a buffer, they don't want to take care of it. And if we have a buffer along the back of the property, they're going to think as a normal buyer, I shouldn't maintain it because I don't own it, even though they do own it. They just can't build onto it. With the property having a buffer, if it had a buffer, one, if you ever have to upgrade the septics on this property, that's really going to outline a big issue, because you need as much space on these small lots as possible. They're very non-conforming as is, and if we make them smaller, add buffers, this is not a new neighborhood. This is not a new development. We're going to really take away the space they need for corrections in the future. So it's, again, common sense. That's what this hearing's about, and that's what we need to use. So let's get it done. Any questions?
Thank you.
All right.
Is there anyone here to speak in favor of the application? Anyone here to speak against the application? Seeing none, the public hearing's closed, and we'll open it for
We open it for a motion.
oh, I'm sorry, for a motion.
I
Sorry.
heard the four.
Yeah.
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Since I made the motion, I suppose I need to make a few comments. To me, it's pretty cut and dry. The houses are existing. There's no buffering existing against the neighborhood behind it. This cleans up a mess that's been there since forever, and gives an opportunity for some affordable housing in the area that can be purchased, housing, owned. There's a lot of positives, in my opinion, to grant this variance and allow them to move forward to be able to sell those homes versus a rental home, so that someone can have some home ownership. So,
Anyone else?
Just that, it just allows the future homeowner to have full utilization of the home site, so it doesn't, limit them as long as they do it within ordinances and so forth. So, like you said, cleans it up, put it to rest, and
Yeah, I mean, one thing I'd probably add is just the zero buffer. I think in this case, the density is not going to increase significantly on these lots, if at all. So I don't see that adding a buffer to the back accomplishes much. So that'd be my only comment.
I think when they design a subdivision, the way I always view it is the buffer outlines the development. In this case, the development would actually be cutting into the lots. So it's kind of, rather than taking from the lot size, which these are rather small, 0.3 acres, when the buffer actually takes from the lot rather than just outlining the entire development, creates a real problem. So the fact that it's been there for 50 years.
yeah.
Okay. So I'll open it for the vote. All in favor, raise your right hand. Unanimous. So we have no more business. Do I have a motion to end the
I
meeting?
move to adjourn. Woo!
All those in favor?
Thank you.